recording this here now and the audio for later, and I'm
All right, bro.
transferring over to Facebook to try and go live there at the same time.
Oh, you're fully hooked up with all the socials.
You don't learn this in a module training.
That's exactly.
Coffee with Daddy. You ready?
Yeah, bro.
Cool. We are live. Welcome to Coffee with Matty Thraxton. And you are on the beer. Ah, you see, I'm so jealous.
It's 9 o'clock at night here, bro. It's 9 o'clock at night, and I just finished a monster pump class. So, as Dan McDonough would say, liquid rehydration.
I'm under so much peer pressure right now because I would join you to have a beer, but I've actually to teach body attack in 2 hours to the whole of
I never knew you taught body attack.
Wow. When I say I'm teaching it, Lindsay's teaching it, and I'm going to be beside her, basically being a bit of a dick. I prefer old school body attack, with the grapevines and the corner walks. That's
walking forward a bit, clapping, walking back a bit, clapping.
I mean,
bring those days back.
What's the beer you're drinking? It looked like really original.
So this is Greenwich IPA. So basically, where I teach on the way home, on the corner, there's a little Italian-American pizza joint, and it's owned by Italian Americans, and they've got all these pictures on the wall of Matthew McConaughey and Robert De Niro and Samuel L. Jackson, all these famous people that have eaten there. But it's like it's where you can go in and you can just get one slice of pizza and then one beer, and it's kind of convenient for me because it's on the way home, but it's a bit tricky because 3 nights a week I teach at the gym that's near that place. So basically 3 nights a week on the way home, instead of eating proper food, I get beer and pizza. But, it doesn't make me a bad person, Ricky. It doesn't.
Does it make you do bad things?
It's just poor food choices. But they say you can't out-train a bad diet, but I'm doing my best. I'm training hard.
I would completely disagree with that because I've done that many times. What I wanted to do is
I kind of figured
you put the most epic Instagram story on in the last 10 minutes. So I'm going to let the
people hear it. Oh, the one when I tagged you.
I just finished a stomping body pump class, and now I'm heading home to jump online and catch up with the boy, Ricky Long, over there in the UK.
That's me.
He's a little bit nervous. He just got the call up to say he's shadowing the Q3 round of filming. And, obviously he's reached out to someone that he trusts, respects, someone that he sees as, a coach, a mentor, a father figure. And he's asking for some advice and for some help. So I'm going to be there for him. Let's get him polished up. Let's get him up to speed. And let's make him look good on that camera. And, if you want to join us, grab a cup of tea, grab a cup of coffee, or do what I'm doing, get some beer and some pizza. I can't remember if it's Facebook, Instagram, if it's Zoom, Blue Jeans, I don't know. But he's the master of social media, so follow him and you'll find out where it's at. See you in a bit.
So, cheers for the shout out. The one question I have about filming, and obviously it's on every instructor's kind of bucket list, wish list, but the one question I have, how do I go about getting the eyebrow? I mean, is that something you can teach?
Is my head really that big? Oh, I need to screenshot you in that. That's awesome. Yeah, well, man, that's some eyebrow trickery going on there. Yeah,
I can't do it.
There you go, one trick pony, mate. I'm a one trick pony.
I've also got this one.
Look at that tan. I think that was Body Pump 69, and I'm actually stood next to a guy called Alani Mala, who's Tongan, and I'm browner than he is. So much fake tan. Oh, mate, great days.
I also prepped that one.
Oh yeah, Glenn Marsden took that one. Yeah, good friend of mine, Glenn. Oh mate, is this because most people watching won't have any idea why you're talking to me?
No, this is because I genuinely want to know, can you teach how to, like, it would be, how funny would it be for people to watch you teach me how to, like, lift one eyebrow? Like, what is it you do?
I think so. You want to do the frown first to get both eyebrows down,
Okay.
and then you pull one up. I think if you just go from a neutral face, it's a little bit more difficult. So yeah, so I think you go both eyebrows down, and actually, this is an interesting little story for you. I used to only be able to do one side.
Mm-hmm.
I think it was my left side I could do, and I couldn't do the other side. And I was trying to be The Rock because he could do his eyebrow, and I still think he's cool. And on that filming, for some reason, I did my other eyebrow completely randomly, and now I can do both a little bit. So it's really bizarre.
It was like a showboat moment. That was like a Matrix moment. You believed.
Oh, bro, it's key element number 6. You can't even learn that in advanced training. So key element number 6 is something that's very often spoken about with people like Chris Richardson and Lee Smith, but it's a myth. It's an enigma wrapped in a mystery. And the moment you think you've got it, it's gone. It's just a whisper. And yeah, that's part of it. But I think it was, sometimes I do script a little something in to try and have some performance or something that matches the music, and I pre-think and prepare. And then other times something just happens in the moment, and I knew in that track where there's a break and it goes silent, and I just wanted to stop and look out in the audience and then not say anything. The eyebrow thing just happened, and it's kind of it's sort of stuck with me ever since. But yeah, I don't mind.
I'm sure you don't.
I've got a bit of mileage out of that.
For everyone listening, there's 2 amazing things going on in my house right now. Obviously, this invigorating coffee chat about eyebrows with Matt Thraxton. Also, Lindsay is in our living room doing a live assessment. So obviously, because assessments for new instructors can't operate the way they normally do, she is literally on a Zoom call next door doing body pump, and it's quite like it's. I know it's not a first, but it's kind of like, oh, maybe me and Matt could come into it. She was, no, you can't do that because the instructor needs some privacy. And I was like, shit, you're right, yeah. It's like, just
pick up your phone and start walking in there. Let's see what goes on.
Not a chance. I value.
Funny little tale for people listening is who actually trained Lindsay in body pump? Can you remember?
Well, I don't remember. I wasn't there, but I know who it was.
It's a funny little matrix loop. So yeah, it was cool because, as you know, a while ago I did that podcast with Lindsay, and we'd only spoken a couple of times in the last 10 years or whatever. And I saw her at the Les Mills tribal gathering. I think it was in Greece. But yeah, back on body pump is 54, I do believe. I came up north and did a body pump training on 54, and Lindsay was on that. And it was a really nice moment because in the global, the tribal gathering, the summit, Sasha Coburn did a session about, just saying thank you to someone that helped you on your journey. And it was all about gratitude. And Lindsay actually reached out and thanked me, and mate, it blew me away. I was so touched because, what it's like, you deliver your module, you're just doing your job, and if you've said or done something that's affected someone in that positive way, you feel good about that, but you don't feel like you're going above and beyond. It's what we're put on the planet to do, and any good human would do that. So when you get that, 6, 7, 8 years later, however long it is, that someone turns around and says, oh, hey, I never got to thank you, but now I've got an opportunity to say thanks for that. It was a great training, and you inspired me to go on this journey. And ultimately, she's now, inspiring thousands of people over there in the UK. And, with her podcasts, she's got a big audience. And even just that little video that you guys did on the online module training, that's a great help to so many people. And I think that's what's great about this COVID virus stuff that's going on, where everyone's now reaching out on social media a lot more and connecting and creating content. It's I just love being part of this space. And then, even catching up with you, and being able to have a bit of banter, but also, you've got quality content and meaningful content, as well as the jokes and the fun. The same as Dan McDonough, and the same as Emma Barry and Tommy G. And I just love that we can do this sort of connection stuff. So yeah, if you want to jump in and annoy Lindsay while she's doing an assessment, you be my guest. I'll happily back you on that.
I don't know. I'm putting myself in the firing line for that.
I know. Yeah, I know. She's a touch more professional than you or I.
Yeah, 100%. And that, I see that as both a strength and a weakness.
Yeah. We can reframe that any way we choose.
You're in the future because you're in China and there is no longer lockdown and isolation. So like
it's 9:15 at night on a Thursday.
And you can go
literally.
You can go outside, you can go to work, you can talk to other people. Like what's it like in the future?
I feel like Marty McFly, bro.
Yeah.
Back to the future, you know.
Miles and
I've
Marvel.
jumped into DeLorean. It is funny because you know, I guess we are on a timeline that's slightly ahead of you guys. It's kind of tricky because back in January the 23rd was when we started to get locked down here in China, and obviously we were the first to go through it all. So there was no real sort of precedent on how to act or how to cope with it. You sort of managed your way as best you can, and the rest of the world kind of looked in and went, "Oh, that's just something going on in China because you know they're eating bats or they're doing whatever stupid stuff." There's all this xenophobia and racism that started to come, and people were looking really negative on us here, and we were going through this thing sort of alone. And then as the rest of the world started going through it, they went, "Oh, actually, we can learn from what's going on in China. So let's now look into China and say, how have you managed to cope, and how can you help us get through it?" Which is a nice place to be. That you know you can offer some help to some people. So I guess the cool thing is, yeah, you're right. Cafes are opened again, restaurants are open, the gyms are open, and like I just taught a class tonight. So there's still restrictions in place in terms of the class has reduced capacity. So there's still a bit of social distancing in the class. We've all got to wear our masks, and we have our health checks. There's a lot of extra cleaning going on. But it was essentially about 60 days from my last class to the first class I taught. So I had a 2-month basic break of not teaching and not going to the gym. And then what happened around March the 20th, 23rd, some clubs started to open. A little bit before that, some of the sort of personal training studios or gyms opened the gym, but not group fitness. And they had some strict regulations in place about how you did your workouts. But in terms of group fitness, well, my first class back was RPM, and mate, I was so excited to teach. And it's a studio that's got 26 bikes, but because it was reduced capacity because of the health regulations, there was only 13. But bro, I taught that class of 13 people like it was 1,300. It was like I was so happy to get back in the saddle and ride and teach. And the thing was, it was clear that people were there for community and for the social interaction. It wasn't about the workout. It wasn't about the fitness. You know, all of us felt a little bit anxious that we were a bit more out of shape than normal. We hadn't exercised as well as we normally would. But that wasn't the focus. The focus was, look, let's just celebrate being in each other's company again. We've got the music, the community, and we're having a class. And yeah, in a few weeks, your fitness will start picking back up and we'll feel comfortable with that. So it's a real different intention on how I sort of framed up the class. But the worst thing was I pulled on my Lycra shorts. Mate, and my legs got so skinny, my Lycra was baggy. Bro, I was mortified and I was thinking, oh my God, this is terrible. I look awful in these cycle shorts. But, you know, the funny thing was as people started to come into the class, you know, the focus was on them, you know, so you just get over yourself and get on with it. But getting back into teaching, it just felt good to get back into that social space, the community. And what's happened is that as the weeks have now progressed, each week there's a couple or 3 extra spots opened up. So we're gradually getting back to full service. Even some clubs like Pure Fitness, for example, they've now relinquished, if that's the right word, the mask restrictions in their gym. So IAPM Mall, which is their flagship store, you no longer have to wear your mask if you don't want to. So we can see these little steps heading back towards, you know, what normal life is, which is great. And numbers wise, the gyms were getting about 60% attendance back in terms of the membership database coming back to the club. And each week it's been about another sort of 8, 10, 12% increase as people have got more comfortable with being out in public. They've seen that the numbers are still low for the coronavirus, so we haven't had a spike. They're confident with the club having the cleaning practices, and the health checks. So little by little, the numbers are getting back to normal, and people are confident again. But people are just excited to be back into that human interaction space, because that's what we love the most.
How's that human interaction been? Because we've all been stuck behind our phones and like looking at each other in 2D for 5 or 6 weeks. So how is it?
Yeah.
How was it when you actually saw another person? Like what?
Well, it's funny because instantly, you want to high five, you want to shake hands, you want to bro hug, or you want to hug someone, but you can't. There's still that apprehension. So you see someone, it's like, oh, hey, and you keep a little bit of distance. So it's kind of funny because I guess in the UK, British people, our culture, we are a little bit more standoffish. We're not, not like the Latin Americans or the Mediterraneans, really, really touchy-feely. So I sort of feel like the Italians and the Brazilians and the Portuguese, it's going to be harder for those guys because they're so used to being, closer and more physical. But I guess in Britain, we're very, how do you do? We're a little bit of standoff. Yeah. So it may not have been such a culture shock for me. And especially here in the Asian culture as well, it's quite respectful of distance. It's not as close proximity, touchy-feely, huggy. So it was a little awkward. And you do have that, oh, hey, and you keep your distance. But it's just become normal. And even teaching with a mask on, which is kind of a strange thing to do, just kind of becomes normal once you've done it a few times. But what we're finding is, like, even now going on the train coming home, people are shoulder to shoulder, like we're busy again, so there's no way around it. If you stood, if you are at a coffee shop waiting to get served, the person behind you is right up next to you, we're lining up as we normally did. So I don't know if it's just the fact that people get back to normal quickly and forget what the difficulties were, or if it is just that the confidence is high now and people are in that space. But yeah, certainly in the gym, people are just a little bit keeping some space, and we'll see how that plays out in the next couple of weeks.
You said this at the start. I think fitness professionals, fitness instructors, Les Mills instructors, they have this unrealistic fear of what their fitness is going to be like the next time they teach an actual class. And you kind of touched on it well. It was 60 days between your two classes, so you probably died deaf by track 3. You probably you could probably barely speak, especially because it's RPM. Yeah. And it is,
and with a mask on, it's like training at altitude.
Like one of Steve Tanzi's masks.
I was like Bane from The Dark Knight, So when we get to teach without the mask on, my VO2 max is going to be up here.
Like, it really is. You have to be patient with yourself and fitness will return. I know muscle memory gets a bad reputation. Yeah. It's not like you have a muscle memory itself, but the first 2 or 3 classes, they're going to hurt. So perhaps have less expectation about yourself. If it's RPM, work slightly less. If it's body pump, stick less weights in the bar. Maybe take a rep off every now and then, and like you're
100%. And even with how you're coaching, coaching more of the options, having more recoveries, not driving intensity so much. And it's quite funny because I've sort of, in the last couple of years, I've been on a bit of a journey of getting back into health and fitness. Even how I do my own exercise now and how I talk to other people about training and how I teach my classes, gradually over these last few years, it's become a lot more of a holistic approach about self-care, mental health, movement, doing a variation of things to keep yourself stimulated. It's not been so much about you've got to get lean, you've got to get strong, and you've got to jump higher and do tuck jumps and give me another 10 burpees. And I was in that space, and as Les Mills people, as we're very much about the athleticism of our programs, and we drive people to great fitness. But I've thought for a long time, and I've had this conversation with a lot of people over the years, that I feel like as an industry, we're not doing a good job of looking after beginners or new people. We're very good at getting quite fit people a little bit fitter, or people that do 3 group fitness classes a week to do 5 group fitness classes a week. Yeah. People that do 2 body pumps are now doing 3 body pumps, or they now add on a grip. And there is a place for that, and it's got value, and it is great. But we just know from the stats, the obesity rates, the numbers of people going to gyms, heart-related disease. You know, we just know as an industry we're not doing a great job. And we kind of shoot ourselves in the foot with how social media portrays. You've got to have washboard abs. You've got to have a bikini body. You know, look at me. I'm a really beautiful fit chick, and I'm going to show you how to do a workout. But I've got no qualifications. I just look beautiful. So you buy my PDF program. And I've got no issue with that because it does get people moving. But I just feel like I live in a slightly different world of it's the social connection. It's the community. It's helping you as a human feel better about yourself, feel more confident. And exercise is absolutely part of that. And movement quality is part of that. It's not about getting beautiful biceps. It's about physically moving to feel better, to release the endorphins, to have an adrenaline rush, to feel confident. So I've been on a bit of a pathway to that anyway. And I think what's happened with this lockdown period and then having no exercise, everyone suddenly went, boom, let's do online workouts because that's what we're good at.
Yeah.
You know, and as Les Mills people, you know, straight away, you've got Les Mills On Demand, which is doing a great job. All the Les Mills trainers and presenters and instructors are doing online workouts, helping their community move, which is fantastic. I just feel like we need much more. Like it feels like that's almost a bare minimum of what we should be doing for our people. And I think this big pause that we've had just took me to another level of realizing, yes, people do struggle with exercise and movement. We're great at helping with that. Keeping people to adhere to exercise is a whole bigger challenge. And we know that people join a gym and half the people leave in the first month. You know, we know the stats. So how do we make it fun? How do we make it entertaining, engaging? What can we do to make it memorable? You know, and straight away, my class intention and my coaching focus and how I communicate with my people has always started to move away from the physicality of what we do. And I've moved it into a different space. Because the workout's going to be there. If you're pedaling your legs, you're getting a workout. You know, if you, like you said, if you've got some resistance on the bike, the workout's there. If we haven't done it for 60 days, you're going to start with less resistance and be kind to yourself. Let's feel confident about being back in the gym. You know, let's not worry about the intensity of the workout because in 3, 4, 5 weeks, you'll start to get back to that place. And then you're already back into a good training habit. You've already done your 21 days of 3 or 4 times a week. So you're in a routine. So adding intensity now is what you're looking for. But from the offset, a beginner, a new person, someone who's not confident, someone overweight, someone that's been away from exercise for a long time, they just need to feel successful and confident. And it's our job, you know, we need to be there to help these people get into those good habits. And there's a great quote, you know, Emma Barry, I watched a podcast that she did. And no, it was Susan Renata actually. Sorry, yes, Susan Renata.
Don't get them confused.
Another burpee isn't going to make me feel better about myself, you know. And I thought that was a great quote. Yeah, you're exactly right. It's people being kind to themselves. You've been away from fitness for a while, or your normal routine hasn't been there. So let's just take it easy for a couple of weeks, and that's totally cool because we're hoping now we're back into an exercise routine, you know, for the rest of our life. You know, we're not expecting another pause in a few weeks. So, yeah, but, you know, by the same token, we can't go soft. We're still trying to get results at the end of the day as well.
Yeah,
but it's almost become a byproduct.
It's about, you know, creating habits and being kind to yourself. So, you know, it's kind of like the goal is not to achieve something. The goal is to become something. So don't teach a body pump class. Yeah. Become a body pump instructor. You know, don't aim become, don't aim to run a marathon. Aim to become a marathon runner, and it switches your mindset. And I think all these online workouts, a lot of people have just kind of, when I say defaulted, sometimes positive, sometimes negative, and delivering people online workouts. You know, there's a time and a place for that. But again, back to what you said, it's a sociability factor. You know, delivering as an online fitness professional, delivering an online workout, that is the easy stuff that I know my people need and want anyway. The stuff they actually need, they might not know they need. They might need the conversation, the phone call, the WhatsApp group, the Facebook group. And that's why people will go back to gyms, but at the same time, you know, gyms to do their workouts, but at the same time, they'll leverage the online sociability, accessibility that everyone's just discovered. in the last 2 months or whatever?
100%.
You've been busy or
Well, I think
you know, you've been jumping on and doing a lot of conversations,
Yeah.
a lot of content.
It's been really cool, and I guess part of it is, you know, being in the future and being ahead of this curve in China, that we've gone through it. So people are now looking to someone they know in China that can have some insights or give some advice. But it's been really cool, because you touched on it then. It's you know, when someone leaves the gym, so they go to the gym, they have their 45-minute, their hour workout. When they're outside of the bricks and mortar, you know, they're no longer connected to that facility. They're gone. They're doing their own thing. But with the online space, they can actually stay a lot more engaged. So whereas clubs before might not have done much online stuff before, now they've been forced to get good at digital, to get good at online, to have workouts, education sessions, coffee chats, beer chats, fireside chats, quiz nights, whatever it might be. That means now you can be part of the community. So you can go to the gym and have a workout, but later on that night, you might check in on Facebook or Instagram and be connected with some of the community. Mm-hmm. The next day in the morning, you might watch a post or a feed, or you might do quiz night on a Sunday, or you might download, you know, the music that someone played in their class that day. There's ways that you can stay a lot more connected. So I feel like coming out of the other side of this lockdown, the clubs that have been clever with getting into that digital space, they still want to have that presence. You know, we've got to give a whole package, not just the workouts. Now there's the digital. And what you find is, you know, stay-at-home mums, people that got sick kids, people that are busy with work, they might only be able to get to the gym twice a week. But if you can also offer 2 online workouts as well, they're now working out 4 times a week. So that's better. 2 workouts at the gym live, whereas before that's all they did, the 2 live, and they would have missed the rest of the week. But now they've got an opportunity to stay engaged and stay more connected. And that's kind of the same with, you know, with us as people. I feel like if someone comes to my class, I can connect and engage them for that 45 minutes, that hour. But what about for the rest of their day, the rest of their week? It's like, can I really have that much impact with just one workout, when for the other 23 hours and 15 minutes of that particular day, you're not thinking about RPM? So are there things that I can do to actually keep you engaged in the community? And then that's what I'm seeing a great job of people doing, you know, stuff like you're doing, actually just offering content, offering help, connecting people, just having a chat online, you know, doing all these cool little things that are just trying to reach out and keep people connected. And I feel like then when you add all that and we keep that with the live workouts, because let's face it, you're never going to replace the live workout. A great instructor with a good gym delivering a good program, you know, that's always going to be the utopia. You know, it's like going to a Pink concert. You pay your money to go and see Pink live because she's freaking amazing, but you can still jump on YouTube and watch it for nothing. You know, the online is still there for free, but concert sales, you know, tickets are still ramping up and people are paying to go because they want the live experience. Yeah. But you can supplement that with now the digital in our fitness world. And I think that's just a great thing. It's going to be a win-win.
Definitely. And it's you said this, I think you said this, it's forced clubs to look at this in a more serious capacity. And it's going to present members now with such a plethora, if you will, of
that's a great word.
People
don't use that word enough these days, do they?
Well, I thought I had to up my game there. You used the word utopia, and I was like, holy shit, utopia, that's the first time that's been used. Yeah, I've got 2 good questions along the same lines. Tina has asked, how do you teach with a microphone, with a mask? And Lynn has followed one up with, how do you breathe with a mask on in a class and the microphone?
Oh. How do you breathe in class? Good question. 1 second. Let me just show you. So over here, I do have my mask. And then I do have my own personal microphone, so I don't get germs off anybody else. It's like that, mate. That's how I teach with a mask and a microphone. It's exactly the same way.
Yeah.
It's exactly the same way, but obviously there is this membrane that makes breathing a little more difficult. So yes, I feel like I've got to circle my breathing a little bit more, and I probably don't speak as much. And I can feel that those first few classes, you know, my fitness capability wasn't great, so I pulled back on intensity. But now we're in a space where it does kind of feel natural. The only trouble is they do get sweaty and wet. So I've got a big box of them here. Yeah, so you just you just use it once and chuck it. So these are kind of like the surgical ones. They're actually quite thin. But when I'm out and about in the street, I've got quite a thick the N95 mask, which is the real, the high-powered one that stops all the particles. Whereas this one's a little bit flimsier. But the distance between me and the class is enough. It's far enough that there isn't a danger. It's more, if you're doing grit and you're floor coaching, or it's the meet and greet before the class. So yeah, it's a valid question, because it is definitely awkward and it's not normal. You do get used to it, and you do just learn to cycle your breathing, and the voice comes through fine on the mic. There isn't any muffle, with these thinner masks.
In regards to the exercise,
yeah,
intensity and the breathing, it's the same for everyone. I think everybody's having it.
Yeah, and I think as well, it's a cultural thing, because it's important, I guess, for me to sort of get the point across that, like, here in China, people wear masks quite a lot. When there's a bit of a flu epidemic, or someone's got a cold or sick, so any given normal day when there's nothing going on, I'll see tons of people with masks on. It's very normal in Asian culture, so you don't spread germs or pick up other germs. So before this virus situation, people were wearing masks, and there'd be a couple in class sometimes. If they were a little bit under the weather, they'd wear their mask and they'd do the class. So I think to get class participants and instructors to wear masks was very simple here. People just did it. But I totally get that, in the UK, USA, the Westerners, we don't wear masks. It's not normal for us. So the leap to now teach with masks on is a bigger jump. So I get there's more apprehension there, and I can see that it's it's a bit more of a bone of contention as to how we manage that. But that's the thing. If you love teaching, you just do what you need to do to make sure you can get back to teaching, which is wear a mask and work it out.
I'm not being rude. I keep looking down at the phone because we've got some good questions coming in. And I'm notoriously bad when I do these coffee chats for looking at my phone and actually taking questions.
Ignoring it.
I
can't see the questions on my phone. I haven't swiped across, so I'm relying on you, bro.
How did your voice, so this has come in from Ian, how did your voice hold up after so long off?
That's a very good question, and I get this quite a bit. So even if I went home, like I went home to the UK for Christmas and had about 10 days of not teaching, and the first thing I noticed is that first class back, my voice is incredible. It feels strong, it feels clear, it feels smooth. I always teach and I think, man, I've got so much power, and your coaching just goes to another level, because you know everything's crystal clear. And then you wake up the next morning and you're raspy because you've pushed it too much. So even now I can feel, because I had quite a big layoff, yes, my vocal cords had a really good rest. Everything felt great. Maybe I was a bit silly and didn't warm up my voice enough in those first few classes, or maybe I did get overexcited and push a little bit too much, and push my voice top end. But I'm kind of notorious. I've always got a slightly croaky or tired sounding voice, so I do push it when I teach. I try and project. If I'm just having a normal conversation with someone sat on the couch, I've got kind of a sleepy, tired, croaky voice, and people are like, "Are you okay? You hungover? Are you tired?"
On the bed voice, I heard.
I teach for a living. Yeah, but that's a really good question. So, yeah, the first class back was boss. It was great, and then I realised, okay, I've pushed it a little bit too much, and I just try and be a little bit. It's that classic thing of trying to breathe from the belly, not from the chest. And it's pronouncing the words well, and it's not going to that shouty place, having maybe the music a touch lower and the mic a touch higher, so you don't have to push it. I'm good at giving that sort of advice, but when you're in the moment and it's an RPM track 7 or a body pump track 4.
So last night was it? Yeah, Tuesday night we were streaming one of our classes, and when you're streaming the classes, you obviously control the sound that they're hearing. And what you then tell them to do is, we'll set this at a level and then just turn your device up. So it got to the last, it was a shoulder track that I was teaching. And I just thought, you know what? They've done this a couple of times. They love this. And I just, without thinking, went over to my laptop and turned my volume up. Kind of default mode, which is what I might do in a studio.
Yeah.
And nearly exploded everybody who, about 50, 60 people who are doing the workout with me on their TVs. The sun just goes so big. I was like, shit, sorry. Rachel's put in a good question, which a lot of people will be wondering. It sounds quite a basic question, but a lot of people will be wondering this, and it's simply, have you had trouble sourcing masks?
I haven't actually. I've been quite lucky. So with the Les Mills China team, quite a lot of the guys managed to source a lot of masks. So recently, when I've seen people in class, they've come to my class or they've come to the office, a lot of them have given me a bunch of 10 or 15 more masks that they've had, just sort of taking care of each other. And we've got a great app on our phone called Taobao, which is like a home shopping channel. And you can get everything on there, absolutely everything. So I believe there was a period when we first got locked down in that first week or two that it was difficult to get masks. I was actually in Taiwan, so I was doing the workshops in Taiwan, and the virus hadn't really hit Taiwan yet. So when there was a bit of a tricky time getting masks, or they were sold out, or when people went to like the chemist to buy them, there was none there. That happened before I got back into China. So I was in Taiwan then. But since I've been back, I've actually had a big box full, and people have been giving me some. And at the Les Mills office in China, the HR department, they give each employee 5 masks on a Monday. So we've got Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. We've got 5 masks that we can wear at work. So we're kind of lucky in that place. But I do know that globally it's been a bit tricky. Like I've got friends in Korea that had trouble getting masks, and they had to try and ship some from China across. And I know I follow some of the China accounts on Twitter, and there was a big thing about sending a lot of masks over to the USA. So I think what happened here is the companies got hit real quick. There was a bit of a drought, and then they just started producing thousands and thousands, and so it's no problem. But I don't know what it will be like in the UK. Yeah. I've got some pretty colours. I've got some pink ones, some light blue ones. I've got black. I've got white. Yeah.
And listen, if anyone from Reebok is listening right now, you want to be creating a Les Mills Reebok mask specifically for instructors, because
that's a good point actually. And I think
are you going to put out a Reebok mask here? Because if you do, that we're going to end this.
Well, that's actually where I keep my mask, in my Reebok box.
All right, that's okay then.
So these are kind of the professional ones that I wear outdoors, that are the heavy duty. But then I've got little thin black ones. I've got green. I've got white. But yeah, I've got this big box full of them. Purple.
It will come on. It'll be advertising space soon. Like you'll be teaching a class, and you might be able to be paid to advertise something on your mask.
Because you see that in the UFC, don't you? They have semi-permanent sort of tattoos on their back.
Yes, yeah.
The sponsorship, because it's great advertising space. But yeah, for teaching me, that's a great idea, mate. I might see if Joe's Beer want to sponsor me for some masks. I'm not proud.
I will do anything for money.
But I won't do that.
There was a favour I need to ask you, by the way, and I'm totally shameless in asking you this.
Go on.
Our mutual friend, Rachel Newsham, she's dodging my texts and she's dodging my messages. I'm trying to get her to do a podcast with us. So could you, kind of old school wingman, put in a good word for us? She kind of...
of course I will, yeah.
She kind of half replied to me on Twitter, but I don't think she was actually taking me seriously, which is, that's because I cry wolf quite a lot of the time, and sometimes people don't know when I'm serious. But yeah,
there you go, yeah.
She kind of said yes, and I'm taking it as, it's happening.
Well, I know she's super busy at the moment, and part of it as well, like you touched on with me, that all of a sudden a lot more people have reached out and webinars and seminars and podcasts, and obviously she's got a higher up position at Les Mills, so she's got that stuff to deal with. But she's actually someone that I've connected with a lot more during this, and part of it is this Imperfectly Perfect campaign that Glenn Marsden started a couple of years back, for mental health awareness. And Rachel's been an advocate and a face for that, that's able to get a lot of reach. And I've jumped on a few times and done the virtual hang and had some chats with Glenn, and I posted a couple of bits of content. But we've started to get this really cool community together. But I talked to Rach today, actually, because the thing is, there's 5, 6 or 7 groups, and everybody's jumping in from all over the world, talking at different times of the day.
Mm-hmm.
So you wake up in the morning and you've got 57 messages in one group, and you're like, oh, I've got to scroll all the way back. And so we had this conversation today that it is just really hard to keep up with all these groups and to keep connections. And that's what will happen. You know, it'll just be one that's fallen through the cracks because there's so much stimulus at the moment, you know. But yeah, absolutely, mate. I'll next time I speak to her, I'll give her a nudge and see where she's at.
Please, I need to get her on.
She'll give you some time.
Like, I promised her that I would do the whole podcast in my accent, and she then promised she would do the whole podcast in my accent as well.
She has to do it in your accent as well.
But you said there about WhatsApp groups. So I have my mates WhatsApp group. We've had, it's the same mates I've been involved with, since I was a teenager. And in the last 4 weeks, another WhatsApp group has been created for Saturday night quiz nights, via Zoom.
Yeah.
It's the exact same people. Like, we have
2 different groups, but the same people.
It's the exact same people, person for person. It is the exact same. There's nobody missing, and there's nobody extra in it. And I'm just so many WhatsApp.
Just doubled up, yeah.
Now the blokes from that WhatsApp group have our own WhatsApp group because we're all subscribed to this beer company who send us beer every month, and we talk about beer in a WhatsApp group like that. That's the stage we're at.
Yeah.
No, it's just mental. Like, there's so many WhatsApp groups around it, and we're in another WhatsApp group because we're doing a body pump live stream this Saturday, and I'm in another WhatsApp group for body pump quarterly workshop stuff. I'm just like, oh, come on.
Yeah, it is hard to keep up, and it's it was I listening to. I think it was I was listening to Talk Sport Live, so it was either Darren Goff or Freddie Flintoff, one of the cricketers, and they were having this conversation with the main host about WhatsApp groups and how they just get really frustrated when people just reply with like 1 or 2 words, and you have this list of 12, 15 people that have just all put 1 word. So you open it up and go, 23 notifications, and it's just nonsense. There's nothing of any relevance, and it's like, why you wouldn't send an email with 1 word? So to get off my WhatsApp and contribute properly. But it is, and he was just talking about how he deletes himself from so many groups.
It's voice notes which really wind me up. Like, if I see a voice note which is longer than a minute, I'm just like, oh.
I saw your post, but
by the way, that opened the floodgates. The amount of people who sent me a voice note this morning after I posted that.
I almost did. Well, on Instagram, you can only do a 60 seconds.
Yes.
That might be a video post, maybe. Yeah.
It's 60 seconds for voice notes,
Talking of Rachel Newsham, oddly enough, whenever we've had, chats on Instagram, she always messages or videos. And I never used to do it at all, but I'd get a, hey, Matt, how you doing today? Blah, blah, blah. And it's a video, a little 10, 15 second. And I always thought, that's really cool. And I always typed back. And then at just some point I thought, I'm going to try this video thing or this voice thing. And I started to think it was cool because then with you, when you did the accent and she did the accent, we had that little group, and then I tried to do an accent and I was terrible. But conversely, I've actually gotten more into doing voice messages, and then Glenn Marsden, he always does them, and we've got a couple of groups where, the 2 boys will be doing a workout and they're videoing the workout and they send it to the group, or, we see something funny. And so we're just being a lot more visually stimulated now, than just doing the text and the writing. And I've actually gotten more into that. But you're right, if it's a long one, it's hard to watch, especially if you've got 10 or 15 knocking around in different groups. You're just like, no one's got time for that.
Are you enjoying yourself personally putting out more content on social? Because I know you did for a while, and then with the job in China, you probably had no time.
Yeah.
And now you're putting yourself out. Enjoying that? You're finding it
it's funny because I've always had a love-hate relationship with social media. I've always been very much like, I put heaps of stuff on for a little while and then pull right out and do nothing for a while, or think I've got nothing of value to say, or I've done nothing interesting, or then it'll be about promoting other people as much as I can. And I sort of dip in and out, and I've never been consistent, and I've never really found my place with it. And I see other people, I see people putting content on every day, and I always admire those people that can create content consistently. And I've always thought, man, I wish I could. And part of me is I don't know if I've got that determination to always post 12 o'clock every day, for example, or to make sure, you know, in my Instagram feed, I've got one funny post, one educational post, and one picture. You know, I know some people really have a system and they follow that to the letter, and it really works for them. But I've never been able to do that. And I think I probably wouldn't want to, because it wouldn't be authentic to me. You know, it would be forced. And I know I follow people like Gary Vee that always talks about, you've got to put 3 lots of content on this time, and you're trying to build an audience. And you know, I'm not trying to build an audience. I just want to put something up when it feels right. And if it resonates with someone, then great. If it makes someone smile, then great. But I'm not going to get into being a slave of, I've got to make sure I do something every day because people are expecting it. Because then I'll set myself up probably to fail, and then I'll feel bad. Or I'll create some just shitty content that doesn't mean anything, that looks like I'm trying too hard. So I'd rather just not. But you are right. There was a little period with this coronavirus where I just tended to do a little bit more content naturally. And then as we got back into work and then I got really busy again, I've done a little less. But what also happened at the same time is the rest of the world started to do heaps more content. So it just became quite flooded. And I'm kind of in a place now where I can't remember who said it. I posted something recently and someone said they actually listened to it because they hadn't heard from me for a little while. Mm-hmm. So whereas sometimes you can, if someone's posting a lot of content continually, they've got their hardcore followers that love that and it's great. They've got their audience. Yeah. But maybe for some of the just people that check in here and there, they've tuned them out and they've blanked them because it's just too much white noise. And it's like, oh, it's that person again. It's that person again. And then they push against it. And then they might see a post from someone they haven't seen for a little while. And it's, oh, what's that guy talking about? Mm-hmm. And so I guess in a funny way, having a bit more of an irregular post might actually mean a bit more to any of the people that are interested in what I'm up to. But, you know, I've mentioned a few people, like I know, like Tommy G, for example, he's great at content and he's always got, you know, amazing value with what he's saying. And I just think I can't do that. I just think I haven't got enough value in what I'm saying regularly enough that people are going to want to listen. But randomly I'll post something about a cup of coffee and it makes someone laugh, or I'll post a workout and it might inspire someone, or I'll reach out and be like, hey guys, are you doing okay? Is there anything I can help you with? And it'll be something that's got a bit more of a profound meaning. But it's just who I am as a person, mate. I am just random like that, you know. Sometimes I'll educate, entertain, inspire, engage. Sometimes I'll be, you know, within my shell and I'll be down on myself for a few days and I won't reach out to anyone. And I've kind of learned to sort of embrace that and not force to try and be something that I think other people might want me to be, or I'm not trying to get famous or trying to build an audience. So I'm a bit more authentic with who I am, for good, bad, or ugly, you know.
The thing I always give to people when they're talking about social media, and you said it at the start about sometimes you find it easy to create content, sometimes you don't, so you just don't. And then you said right at the end about authentic, is your strategy should always be, no matter what your goals are, your strategy is always, this is what I did and this is what I learned, because that covers your good days and that covers your shit days. So I taught an RPM class today. I felt amazing and I connected with 10 of my members. Whereas next week, I taught an RPM class today. I couldn't get eye contact with anyone and it was really, really bad. But I know everybody had a workout. But then all of a sudden, you're creating that authentic overview of your life. And that's what people buy into. So that gives you full license to be funny one day, serious the next day, educational and inspirational.
Yeah.
Because people always chase the perfect post. And it really, like we've all been guilty of it. You write a caption out and you're like, ooh, shall I do it? Shall I not? It's like,
I know. This is where my love-hate comes into it. And, you know, and it's tricky because you'll see people that have photoshopped their photo a little bit too heavily and you're like, come on, I know what you look like in real life. You know, I know you want to look good on social, but you've gone a little bit too far there. And
like this, I can do it live.
You can do it live. I think that's where I kind of got. Oh, there you go. Oh, you look so thin. You look so lean.
I'm so blue.
But yeah, it is right about that authenticity thing. And I suppose Gary Vee touches on the same thing where he says you all you can tell is your story, what you're doing, you know, so just post that. Even if you think it's completely irrelevant, someone might be interested in it. And if they're not, it doesn't matter. That's not your audience. And you are right. If I wanted to be in that space of definitely posting one thing every day to keep a really good connection with people, and you know, to have that reach, that's exactly the route you would take. It wouldn't be about, I'm only going to post when I do 140 kilo squat, or when I'm in my favorite cafe, or when I've got my new Reebok. It's got to be warts and all. It's got to be everything and stuff in between. And that's the great thing about the live stuff. It's we're not trimming it down or editing it or changing how we look, or we might say something stupid. It's not, well, we can't take that out. We said it, so what? Move on. And I love the realness of that, and it's almost a scary place to be.
That's why I like
you're right.
Started the talking.
There you go. But, I'm not a polished product, but some people are. I've got people that I trust and respect and know. They're on Instagram, and you look through the last 50 photos, and everyone is incredible. It's a perfect post. It's a great bit of fitness inspiration, and that's them being authentic to them. So, you can't knock them for it, because they're doing their thing. Yeah. But your stuff's good, mate, and it's for that reason that there'll be some crazy stuff, some funny stuff, some stupid stuff, some push the envelope stuff, some drop the hand grenade and see what's going on, and and then there's compassion, there's empathy, and then there's education, and that's why I like engaging with your content, because it's a plethora of a utopian content.
I've a brilliant caption which I've written. I just haven't had the reason to post it yet, and it's about how. So I would normally teach 3 classes a week, whereas now I'm teaching 7 or 8 classes a week online.
Oh yeah.
So I've done quite the opposite to what a lot of group fitness
instructors. You've gone the opposite way to most people. Yeah.
So I'd see the first 2 weeks of lockdown, I was fucking wrecked. I was so sore from doing that many classes. But I've had to change.
How have you managed it then? How have you felt about that change in your routine?
I've loved it for 2 reasons. Because it's been a challenge to teach again. So normally when I teach a live class, I rock up at a module and I'll tell people the script and use layer 1 and layer 2, layer 3 classes. But when I turn up to teach a class, I do none of that. I just turn up and react to what's happening. And sometimes it's a layer 3 queue, sometimes it's layer 1 queue. Hopefully I identify that more times than I get it wrong. But that's because you have
it
that.
It sounds to me like you're blending the dimensions there, mate. Is that what you're doing? Are you blending the dimensions of connect, educate, and motivate? Is that what you're doing? Teaching from the outside in?
Years. But to be honest, I've been doing that for years. Don't tell anyone, they might be onto me. But when you're doing it online, you can't do that, because you can't get that live feedback from people. Like, you can see them on Zoom, but there's that little bit of a delay. They're only in that small little window. So I have to script again. I have to use my layer 1, the layer
different skill, completely different skill.
I've enjoyed that. It's also opened up a new audience in terms of who can do my classes. So rather than the people who live in a 10-mile radius of the gym I'm at, we've had one class where we've had a person from 5 different continents do our class.
That's awesome, man.
So
people that can't get to the gym 6 o'clock on a Tuesday night, they can. Yeah, that's great.
So I'm really enjoying it. And again, the type of person who I'm attracted to my class quite often tends to be a Les Mills instructor as well. So the energy's high.
Yeah.
So it's fun. It's really, really good. So yeah, I'm loving teaching from home. The longer the gyms don't open in, again, probably just allows me to keep teaching as many classes from home as what I am.
So are you finding, you touched on it a bit then, but in terms of how you're learning this new skill of teaching online, what do you think a couple of the key learnings are, or what you found that you've developed in yourself in this style of teaching that you might not have been doing 6 weeks ago, 10 weeks ago?
Good question. Probably found this out quite early, is you have to know where you're going with your coaching. Whereas when I turn up to teach a live class, as I've said, I can go a couple of different ways at any point, just depending on what's happening. So you have to know. Secondly, this is straight out of the Les Mills handbook. You have to know what the benefits are of the exercise that you're doing. so as you can quickly give them that reason to do. You know, if you're in that live environment, you kind of sometimes you don't need to give that benefit straight away because they'll just do it anyway. But because you're online, you actually don't know if they're doing that straight away because it's that 4 or 5 second delay to catch that. So I think for me, the online space, it's a completely different skill, but it's very, very learnable. You know what? Like if anyone from Les Mills is listening, you know, like I'm trying to create you another module here. Like we could
100%. It is, mate.
Could we possibly do an instructor module to teach online stream classes on all these workshops, because it's now a thing.
Yeah, and it is a complete new area for most of us in you know, in personal training and in group fitness. You know, historically we haven't been dominating this online space, and we haven't been doing a lot of stuff to camera. You know, and that's what I found, that some of my most experienced trainers here have struggled delivering an online module training because it is such a new skill. Or great presenters that have got so much charisma and passion and enthusiasm, and they can whip up a storm face to face, you know, live. That they lose a lot of that power and that impact when it comes to this online place. And I feel like the same as what you touched on there. You've got to know your stuff, like whether it's choreography, whether it's module content, you know, whether it's your coaching focus. You've got to be really clean with your content and your delivery, and simple, and leave a little bit more space to allow it to land to the people the other side of the camera. And that stops you going off on so many bunny trails or doing random stuff or doing quirky stuff, because you're not in the place of getting that response. You're in a place of making sure people on the other side engage with you and feel successful. And then that's what we found with the online training is 100% it's a new skill. So we're actually going to develop online trainers that might not do live training, or presenters that become trainers, you know, that have got great skills in online, and they might get fast tracked to being a trainer because they've got great talent in delivering in this online space. And of course, you can have your manual here, you can have post-it notes and stuff there, so you can make sure you cleanly deliver the content. Plus, you can be a lot stricter with your time guidelines, because you can literally, you've got a camera there and you've got a phone there and you've got a time. Okay, this next section is 15 minutes, boom, and you stick to that. In a live setting, there's some questions asked, you go off on a tangent, you know, it's easy to sort of freestyle it a little bit. And especially with experienced instructors and trainers, you know, we do fall back on that, you know, that old way of doing things that gets us through, whereas the new way of doing things, you know, could be a lot cleaner and a lot more precise. And that's what I found with seeing all these people doing online classes. So, you know, some has just been a shit show. You've watched it and just thought, oh my God, this is terrible. But it isn't necessarily because that person is bad. They're just finding their way in this new medium. And even yesterday, or the day before, it was I did a webinar for the LMUS guys, and I'd scripted heaps and prepared heaps. I knew my content. I practiced it. I videoed myself. You know, I've done a lot of stuff to camera. I've done a lot of stuff live, so I was ready. And then while I'm getting ready to start, they play a song, and then as soon as the song finishes, Corey says, "Okay," and over to Matt. And the second she said over to Matt, I suddenly got nervous. And then I'm talking to the camera and I'm going, oh my God, this feels really awkward. I'm just talking to a camera, and I think there's some people there. I know there's a few hundred people on the other side, but I can't see or hear anyone. And it threw me off. And I thought, wow, you know, I know how it feels to be in an awkward space, even though I'd done all the prep, all the planning, I had the experience, and it still threw me off. And it took a little while to get back on track. So I can totally see that, you know, that as an industry, we've just got to be kind to ourselves, that we're learning this new medium. And essentially anyone that's jumping online in a digital space to deliver a class or deliver content, we're all doing it to try and help people, you know, and that's what we've got to remember. You know, we are ultimately just trying to have that objective of helping the people on the other side. Yeah. And it is, mate. You're exactly right. It's a completely new skill.
Anyone who's doing this and is streaming classes online, here's a really simple one for you, you know, from the technique aspect. Use 100% more side and 45-degree profiles than you would in a live class. Because when you're on this camera, you just see 2D. And as soon as you change your angle, it engages people again. And yes, they can see what you're doing, but it actually engages them. Because if you think of a live environment, they have nothing else to look at apart from you, the instructor. But when they're on their phone, when they're on their laptop, there's all these buttons all around. We're only in these little square windows. So it's so...
Yeah, you got the fridge over there, you got the TV there, you got the guitar there, you got, there's all stuff going on.
Like I was teaching bodybuilding last week, and I think I spent about 50% of the time either on a 45-degree or a side profile than I did facing the camera. Because I've just learned from watching people on Instagram, etc. Show me more side and 45-degree profiles, because it'll engage your viewer more. Because they'll want to know what you're going to do next. I want to see that.
That's good advice, man.
Yeah.
Well, that's what we did. We've been doing quite a lot of streaming classes here, and for my team here at Les Mills China, I created a document that had just a whole bunch of sort of coaching and feedback around being in this live space, and some of it was my observations, and a lot of it was taken from stuff that I've seen online or TED Talks or like a friend of mine, Phil Anderson, who's a Les Mills guy, ex-trainer in Attack and RPM. He's got his own company called Bespoke Leadership, and he does a lot of presenting skills. And all these sort of resources are a great thing to pull together. And it's all stuff about making sure you look straight down the lens, so you get the eye contact and the engagement, even though you can't see the people, being more animated with your voice, being more physically animated, because 10-15% gets lost down through the camera, being precise with what you're going to say, articulating it really well. I think one of the big things that I noticed was when I felt good in an online class, the instructor praised and encouraged me a lot. So just dial up your praise and encouragement, your celebration of, hey, great job, guys. So you might do 10 jumping jacks and they're bloody hard. And in class, we might just smile and it's great, but we've got to be, okay, great job, you guys at home. Okay. So really dialing up that praise, that encouragement, talking through the lens to the people at home. I mean, it was quite a big learning curve. And I kind of liken it to, when you see children's TV presenters and they always just seem to be that little bit over the top. Oh, hey guys, how are you doing today? We are going to learn how to draw a camel. And you're kind of like,
you do that too well.
Over the top, too cheesy. Yeah, I'm a frustrated TV celebrity. But it almost feels like my normal delivery is here. The cheesy TV children's presenter is here. I've got to kind of get halfway between what I normally do to make sure that it lands through the camera. But yeah, there's a whole heap of great stuff out there that can help us. And the funny thing is, we've got to look outside of the fitness industry to get that. It's not necessarily fitness industry people that can help us here. It's actors, musicians, people on TV, people, camera people, audio people.
Man, you could send me
public speakers
on a series of rants here. Like I've been using Zoom for 3 or 4 years, and all of a sudden I'm getting questions from the whole fitness industry because they've never used Zoom before and doing webinars.
Quite right, man.
One thing I'll give you for nothing here. I did this in my online module 2 weeks ago. So I did a CX module, like as an engagement drill. I said, right, you've got 2 minutes. Get up and go and get a hat and come back. So I made everyone come back to the camera just with a random hat in their house. I did it. I said, go and get an item from the kitchen and just bring it down. And then I made them talk to each other in the chat box in the breakout rooms and just tell people why you brought that hat or why you brought that. And it just gets their engagement going again. So something you can have for nothing.
That's cool, man. If anyone's listening, there you go. There's a freebie. But that's the thing is, like on live modules, we have, all those engage things and silly little fun things that we know we can throw in that pick up the energy or break the routine or change the state of the room. And absolutely, it's 50 times more challenging to do that in an online space, like you say, because you can only see a bunch of people in that little box. So, creating a document with like 20 of those things would be great for people and just post that up. That'd be awesome.
Man, we've been here for an hour. I've loved it. I have to go and get ready for that body attack class. And by ready, I literally mean learn 3 tracks in 45 minutes. Not a problem. So the final stock question I have for everyone in these coffee chats is, what mental health strategies have you applied during lockdown, isolation, which served you well and you've maybe carried on?
Yeah, good question, and a real topical question at the moment. I think a lot of people, if they weren't struggling before, they're certainly struggling a lot more now with the situation we're in. So the first thing was about connection. So I guess stuff like this, reaching out to people, having people reach out to me, saying yes to, I will do that webinar, I will join that Facebook group, I will do your quiz night, I will do your online workout, I will check in to see how you are. Just absolutely dialing up connection with people was probably key. Controlling what you can control. So the whole thing about trying to sort out all the social media frenzy and the media frenzy about this coronavirus thing, and not listen to all the nonsense, and not go to the store and hoard 50 rolls of toilet paper and claim for myself,
You just have all the masks.
I've got all the masks, yeah. Listen to the experts, take sensible advice, and just the thing I can control is how I act in this situation, and how I choose to act. So I guess they were the first sort of two things, controlling what I can control, and then connection. I think the building capability thing is one, in terms of, I practiced a bit more Chinese. I played my guitar a little bit more. Behind me, I did a 3D puzzle of the Great Wall of China. I did a bit more research online for, positive mental thinking, gratitude, journaling, meditation, all the stuff that people know about. But generally in day-to-day life, we might be too busy to do that stuff, So do we really spend 10 minutes to try and meditate and think? Are we really journaling and writing down our thoughts and feelings? Do we take time for that? So I guess, yeah, those are the top three: controlling what you can control, connection, dialing up the connection with people, and then actually trying to build some capability in terms of improving myself. But also, some days I just wanted to crack open a bottle of wine, get a big bag of Doritos, and I binge watched Ricky Gervais' Afterlife, in one night, all 6 episodes. And it felt great. It's like, I don't feel bad about sitting on the couch for 3 hours and watching it, because it was time well spent. So,
of all the things you were going to say there about binge watching, that I wasn't expecting you to say Afterlife.
After the second series, man. I saw the first one, obviously, and then the second one just came out here. But there's quite a few good things that I've been binge watching. And
have you watched?
I don't know about you, but I can't go back to watching an episode a week.
No,
I just physically won't be able to watch an episode and wait a whole week to the next one. But that's what we used to do. The Michael Jordan one, no, Phil told me about that. I haven't seen that yet. But again, I think that's one that is. Are all episodes available, or is it being dropped once a week at the moment?
Dropped once a week. So I'm not a Michael Jordan fan. I'm not an American sports fan. So I think it's been a little bit lost to me. I did manage to watch 4 episodes back to back to back to back. But it's just kind of like, I don't know.
It's good, yeah.
Man, I'm only watching it because everybody else is saying it's so good, and I'm convinced, right? I'm missing something. It will drop, but for me, it's basketball. It's Michael Jordan. He's shit hot at basketball. He seems a nice person. He works hard. He, carried a team, created a team. He's very, very easy to hate from a jealousy point of view. And I'm just like, I don't know what's the magic I'm waiting for in this. Where's the controversy?
Are you like me? Are you one of these people that like the Beatles weren't actually that good?
Pretty much, yeah. Like you could play a Beatles song right now, I wouldn't know it.
I think what I think Phil was saying, he watched the first, it might have been the second episode, but in one of those first 2 episodes, it was kind of revealed that Scottie Pippen was actually the anchor in that team, and and the success of the Bulls was more derived around this guy Scottie Pippen, who was amazing. Yeah. But obviously he was overshadowed by Jordan, who got the fame and the big Nike deal. And it's quite interesting that I think in the real basketball world, people understand that there were some other components that made Michael Jordan as big as he was. And yeah, he's still amazing. But the Bulls' success, you had, I think it was Rick Pitino who the coach was. And this guy Scottie Pippen, who apparently was just blazing, but didn't get as much fame or as much money.
They showed, kind of side-by-side stats of where Pippen was, not just in the Bulls, but just in the whole league. And he was
Right.
number 1 or number 2 for everything. You know, free throws,
Right, yeah,
2-pointers, 2-pointers, more so like
Yeah.
blocks and interceptions. That was the strong part of his game, or rebounds rather. Rebounds, the Americans call it. And
There you go.
he signed a 7-year contract in 1991. And by 1993, he was not only the best player in the league in terms of stats, but he was 122nd highest paid.
Oh, wow.
And he was
That's
on
a
that
big difference,
7-year
yeah.
contract, which the Bulls...
And he was stuck on that contract, couldn't negotiate.
Contract, yeah. So, and it was... The way that documentary's portrayed, it's kind of like they... it's kind of like the media were championing for him to get a pay rise more than he was. I'm sure he was happy about that.
Right.
But it was the media and the Bulls which caused the Bulls and Pippen to eventually fall out, which you kind of see. I suppose this is what the whole thing's about, the evolution of teams. I know when a team peaks and then maybe needs to be rebuilt. So you kind of see that as part of the reason why. So like it is interesting, but I'm sitting, mate, it's a difficult watch. Like it might just be me. I'm finding it a difficult watch.
Right, yeah. Just right into basketball.
No, like I'm 5'9", and I played football. I was like, basketball's not a sport you grow up with in Belfast. I just like
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, true. Yeah.
Right, man. Well, we've got to call it a day. You've got to get onto your second beer. I feel bad. You've only had 1 beer in this 60 minutes.
That's it. On a school night. No, mate, it's been great to chat. Yeah, always good to see you.
Cool.
Yeah, man.
Well, I'll end
we
it all.
never talked about coffee. This was a coffee chat, and there was no coffee talk. I mean, I'm disappointed.
I'll get you booked in for the next one.
There you go. It's a macchiato, if anyone's interested. A macchiato. That's the coffee of choice.
You are a bit of a coffee connoisseur. Like, you like your coffee.
I do, yeah. I did turn into a bit of a coffee snob when I was living in Melbourne. So I think Melbourne, Australia, because being from the UK, being English, you grow up with Nescafe. Your mum makes you a cup of coffee, and it's spoon some granules into a cup and then pour the hot water in, and that's it. And it's disgusting. But that was all you knew. We didn't know about latte or cappuccino or any of that fancy nonsense, or we couldn't afford it. But anyway, in New Zealand had good coffee, and then Melbourne was like a next level up of this hipster beatnik little independent coffee stores that the guy behind the counter just was so passionate about making your drink. And that's when I started to get into it a bit. And then I guess here in China it's taken off and it's growing. There's a lot of these little independent stores. So yeah, I can't stand Starbucks or Costa or Cafe Nero or any of that corporate rubbish. Yeah, I'm a little bit of a coffee snob. I don't pretend to know loads about it, but I just know where the good coffee shops are, and I avoid the mass-produced rubbish.
Yeah, I've started sampling a few macchiatos as well. I like that short, sharp taste rather than
Well, I just stopped drinking milk basically. When I was in the States, I was training at Gold's Gym, and I was big into bodybuilding then. I was doing the whole 3, 4, 5 pints of milk a day, lots of eggs, lots of protein shakes, and thought I looked in great shape. But when you look back at the pictures, you were just a swollen idiot with no neck. And not healthy at all. And just over the years, I've gradually reduced milk. So in my coffees, I just went, it was either an espresso or just a long black. And as Bryce Hastings actually in New Zealand got me into this thing, it was like a silky black. So it was an espresso with a little bit of cream or just a little bit of the milk foam. And that's where macchiatos came about. So yeah.
Actual.
Yeah.
I was going to say actual coffee porn right now.
Actual coffee porn. I sent you through those photos, didn't I? But what have you been up to in China? Well, I was like 50 cups of coffee. That's what I've been up to. 1 week.
Brilliant.
Good.
Man,
yeah.
Right, we'll call it a day. This will be out on a podcast on Friday. So if anybody has just tuned in kind of towards the back end, you've got like 55 minutes of us chatting absolute quality nonsense beforehand.
It's just absolute nonsense. and actually on a semi-serious note, mate, if any of your reach people are listening and they do want, some sort of insights into how we get back into life after lockdown from China, just flick me a message. and I'll put something together or answer some questions or help out. Yeah.
Love that, mate. Well, this is Coffee or Beers, rather, with Matty Thraxton.
Cheers.